So it's an AI-powered legal marketplace that connects scaling businesses and in-house legal teams with independent legal consultants. There is a challenge for businesses and in-house legal teams seeking flexible legal support. We saw an opportunity to use technology to automate that process, speed it up massively.
What we've put together with Aykan support is effectively a reverse marketplace. The AI onboarding creates scopes of work in less than 5 minutes.
Well, first of all, they're a recommended Sharetribe partner. I'm Jarrett. I'm a technology and commercial contracts lawyer by background, and I'm co-founder of Allegro, the AI-powered legal marketplace.
I'm Callum Stacy. I'm the co-founder of Allegro and founder of Stratum, and I'm a lawyer by background, and we have built the Allegro marketplace.
Let's go. Let's get started with your journey with Allegro. How did this come about, and what did you set out to achieve? What kind of a problem statement you saw in the market that you had to address?
There is a challenge for businesses and in-house legal teams seeking flexible legal support. Traditionally, they've had a few options. They hire a person, expensive, long-term commitment, difficult, time-consuming. They can go to a law firm, very expensive. They can go to a recruiter or what we call an alternative legal service provider, a big organization with lots of people that do this in a very manual way and a very time-consuming and expensive way.
I think the difference of what we've put together with Aykan support is effectively a reverse marketplace. So by doing it in that way, we're making it more efficient for clients because the AI onboarding creates scopes of work in less than 5 minutes that create enough detail to adequately match people. We're also using the AI to match clients with lawyers, so they're getting more efficient results than just a fully open marketplace, which was the traditional approach. And we're teasing out ultimately the key details so that people can get better results than either a traditional marketplace where they're entirely left to their own devices to come up with a scope of what they think is needed, and also from a lawyer perspective, having to scroll through an awful lot or manually scroll through and filter traditional marketplaces.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a good existing B2B legal marketplace in the UK, at least. There are sites elsewhere claiming to be marketplaces, but really they're just a jobs board. And an individual that needs legal support will complete an online form, and then people behind the scenes curate a list of lawyers, present that to the client. It's a very manual process. It can take weeks. What we're doing is speeding up that transaction massively, leveraging technology. So we needed, it is an off-the-shelf platform, kind of. We're using a marketplace platform called Sharetribe, but we needed Aykan's support to heavily customize that for our purposes. And as Callum said, create a reverse marketplace. So there's a lot more to it than just something off the shelf, and there's a lot more to it than what exists already that claims to be a marketplace. I can give a quick answer that you can piece together with editing later, but as I mentioned, we're both lawyers by background, so we're very familiar with the industry and how heavily regulated it is. With the technology, we wanted something that was going to give people comfort over security and data protection, where it's hosted, etc. But we're not party to the transaction between lawyers and clients. We're just a matchmaking service. So we don't have to worry about the actual legal services that are being provided. We just want to make sure that the platform's secure and data is kept securely, maintained securely, only used for certain purposes. And Aykan was able to give us the comfort that that was the case. So we neither had to run toward it or run away from it. The biggest challenge is to get clients to use the platform. So the technology is great. Obviously we have to go through a thorough testing process to make sure it works. But you've got issues with lawyers, who are typically the clients, being risk averse, not particularly tech savvy, not particularly willing to try something new. And on top of that, if there's something not quite right with the platform, we'll very quickly lose trust and credibility with those that have been willing to try it in the first place. So that was the concern for us. We're lawyers by background, we're kind of perfectionists. I don't like to admit that, but we're kind of risk averse. We should be. But that means, when you're trying to launch a technology product, really you want to get it out there and get it tested and iterate and get feedback and improve it. Whereas as lawyers, dealing with lawyers, we kind of wanted to make it as perfect as possible at the outset before we released it into the wild, because we knew it would be difficult to get lawyers to trust it. And so I think that's the biggest challenge for us, making sure it actually worked, making sure there was things like even just no typos and things like that, because it would quickly lose credibility with our audience. So yeah, the biggest challenge is making sure it was good enough to get out there, but not sitting on it forever.
What aspect about the Aykan team gave you the confidence that they need to be a technology partner in your journey? What stood out?
So they're a recommended Sharetribe partner. So we had the confidence of Sharetribe's backing that Aykan was a good agency to work with. They gave us confidence in the very first conversation that they'd done similar projects before. They very, very quickly understood our requirements and were asking all the right questions to drill out all the right information, and were incredibly responsive and helpful. They were almost guiding what we needed based on their experience. I provide legal support through me and others to scaling businesses and in-house legal teams. But with that comes a lot of challenges. It's admin heavy, time consuming. It's difficult to find the people to do the legal work. I carry a lot of risk and responsibility in overseeing all of the legal work and being responsible for it. And a lot of lawyers actually want to own the client relationship. They want that direct relationship with the client. So they're not always comfortable working on a subcontractor basis, for example. So that's quite a long and risky process. Launching a marketplace automates that, takes a lot of the pain and responsibility away from me, and gives lawyers ownership of the client relationship.
Would you recommend Aykan to other businesses who are trying to have a similar setup? And if so, why?
I would recommend Aykan. I think if you were looking for a Sharetribe recommended expert, they absolutely have come in.
I'd just add one thing. I've talked about it before, but the biggest thing for me is how responsive they've been. And we talked to other agencies before engaging Aykan, and we worked with other developers before relaunching the platform. And the main differentiator for me by far is how quick they are to respond and action things and help us. With others, we've waited days, weeks for a response. With Aykan, it's sometimes minutes, sometimes a couple of hours. They're responding and they're dealing with things.
And I think the really impressive bit actually is that's been from the very start. So when Aykan are trying to win the work, they're super responsive, and then throughout the project and into kind of business as usual, that responsiveness has stayed at that ridiculously high level, which is a real differentiator from not just tech support companies, but most other companies. So it's a real, absolute pleasure dealing with the guys.